Since time immemorial, people have composed many legends about great cities, but as soon as a city achieved greatness, for some unknown reason it simply disappeared from world maps. Many of them were destroyed, but most, for unknown reasons, went underwater. After all, many peoples have legends about the so-called Atlantis, but I hasten to surprise you. This is not fiction, but a real historical fact. What kind of city was this, and where did it disappear to? Let's figure it out. Intro. Hello, everyone. Dawn has come. Time goes by, and our world is becoming smaller. Many cities, and sometimes entire continents, disappear without a trace. Over the past couple of millennia, and maybe even centuries, vast areas of land have disappeared from the face of the earth, the memory of which remains only in ancient writings and ancient chronicles, studying which we are at least partially able to recreate that incredible picture of the past. After all, many artifacts simply do not stand up to criticism. Sometimes they find something that they cannot even explain. Who built it? When? And why? Today, I want us to delve into our history, study ancient cities that, for reasons unknown to us, sank underwater. We know too little about them, but these grains may be enough. Artifacts, ancient objects, relics, all this is now usually stored only in private collections, to which only the initiated have access. But we should not forget that our museums also have many similar artifacts, and all this is in storerooms. Such artifacts are not always shown to the public. After all, why unnecessary questions? Today we will reveal several secrets about ancient cities that simply disappeared without a trace. We will remember the mysterious ghost town of Kitej. We will understand its history, legends. It is worth saying that this is not the only city in Russes that went underwater. Now, there was a great capital, and it was called Vineta. Legends were composed about the size of this city until it disappeared from our history. Well, or maybe it did not disappear at all, but was simply renamed into our current St. Petersburg, the architecture of which tells us about this, the great ancient times. This is what is characteristic of St. Petersburg. And did Peter the Great not build the city at all, but was only its discoverer? We will find out about this at the end of the video. Nowadays, people have not yet lost the ability to think independently and analyze information. People are interested in their past, their future. People are engaged in themselves and their development. I am very pleased that many of my viewers are engaged in creative activities. Some of you are artists, some are photographers, but all creative professions have one thing in common. You need a good and convenient editor. Recently, I started using a photo editor from Tapas Studio. I use it myself, and therefore I can safely recommend it. I am convinced that you do not even have to be a professional designer to get beautiful and rich photos. In a nutshell, Tapas Studio is a flexible and at the same time powerful tool for editing photos. It will be useful for both professionals and lovers of bright photos. Everything is very convenient in Tapas. On the side, there are many different filters at once for every taste. Make a photo richer and more colorful. In 2 clicks, make a bright and beautiful text. Everything is very fast and simple. Here you can process old family photos, or for example, photos from travels, giving them a new look while refreshing memories. Let's do a little color correction together and edit the photo. For example, we have a beautiful landscape, but in just a couple of moves, we can transform it. To begin with, we will scale it, add a small highlight. Let's increase the brightness and contrast a little, changing the saturation of the photo. And so, as a result, from an ordinary photo, we got a photo from a gift card. In general, many nations have their own legend about Atlantis. Of course, whose attention would not be attracted by a colorful story about a mysterious ghost town that was flooded in ancient times, which disappeared, taking with it into the abyss streets, houses, temples, people, and animals. A terrible catastrophe for those times. For our contemporaries has become an interesting historical mystery, a secret that we want to investigate and solve. As a rule, it was such ghost towns that, in the eyes of all mankind, personified the ideal of a joyful, happy, and serene life. True, these cities were always threatened with destruction. The authors of poetic tales did not know how to dispose of their future fate, so most often they sent their mythical cities to the bottom of the seas and oceans. But often the legends about disappeared cities had quite good grounds for archaeologists to become interested in them and begin their research. It is enough to recall the history of the famous Sodom and Gomorrah, resting under a thick layer of silt and volcanic ash at the bottom of the Dead Sea, or accidentally discovered Pompeii, covered with ash and lava of Vesuvius. But in Russia, there are similar mysterious cities which disappeared without a trace. For example, the mysterious city of Kitesh. It is not for nothing that this city is often compared to the Russian Atlantis. According to legend, there were two cities with this name, Small Kitej and the great city of Kitesh, which stood on the Svetloyar River. Well, if the small one was captured and burned at the beginning of the 13th century, then the great city of Kitesh, according to legend, did not succumb to the siege of the enemy, and the city disappeared without a trace in the thickness of the water. According to rumors, even today the ringing of bells is heard from the bottom of the lake, and in clear weather you can see the golden domes of churches. Locals say that they often meet people in old clothes who come to buy bread and other essentials. Since 959, Lake Svetloyar has been visited by several expeditions, which included divers, but Kitej was never found. The divers carefully studied the bottom, but still no traces were found. Everything is hidden under a thick layer of silt that covered the bottom. But in subsequent expeditions, echo sounders were used, thanks to which an unknown oval-shaped structure was discovered on the bottom, after which such excavations were classified. According to legends, in ancient times, all people on the planet lived happily. The earth gave 3 harvests a year. Herds of domestic animals did not get sick and bred well. This continued for many thousands of years. Then the world changed, and the time of the Golden Age passed. But the memory of it remained in the consciousness of mankind. Plato's words about the Golden Age. But it's true, every nation has its own legends about a great city. There are mystical places such as Atlantis and Shambhala, and there are real historical buildings, which we will talk about today. The ancient city of Vineta is not just a beautiful legend. The fact of its existence is clearly recorded in many chronicles. Moreover, we know that it was a grand city of marble and alabaster with gilded roofs. That is, not every flooded settlement can claim the name of Vineta. In the Middle Ages, on the coast of the Baltic Sea, where the Odra River flows into the sea, there was a large port city of Vineta. It is listed in all the encyclopedias of the world, but very little is known about it. The chronicles briefly report that about 700 years ago, Vineta was the largest trading center in the German north. Trade flourished in the city, ships from all over the world moored in the port. In the scope of its activities, Vineta in many ways resembled medieval Hamburg and Lübeck. But these two cities are alive today. Nothing has happened to them except for rare floods, while Vineta has completely disappeared. Where and how? This city is also called the Northern Venice or the Atlantis of the Baltic. About 1,000 years ago, the beautiful Slavic city of Vineta was swallowed by the sea. For centuries, the tragic fate of this city inspired not only poets and musicians, but above all, scientists. Because Vineta is not a figment of the imagination, but a real city hidden under the thickness of water, with bells, houses, a market square, and treasures, and indeed, ancient chroniclers admired the wealth and grandeur of Vineta.